am so excited for this today. This is such a treat. This is Matt from Set Your Goals, a band I've been listening to since I think 2006, literally half my lifetime ago. Half my lifetime ago. I am so psyched for this. Yeah, since the Myspace days, which I think was super incremental in Set Your Goals getting out there. What else? Warped Tour, Slam Dunk Festival, all this stuff, and 3 incredible albums. Collabs with some of the biggest artists in the music industry, tours with all these crazy big bands, Newfound Glory, Good Charlotte, All Time Low, You Me at 6, that's UK side as well. Guys, I'm so happy to have you here, man. So tell us a little bit about what you're up to at the moment and how things have been lately.
Oh, well, a lot has happened. Since the start of the pandemic, I've gotten COVID twice. I broke my back. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a wild couple of years, honestly.
Yeah, that car crash, you had a car crash recently, and then something happened in the hospital, didn't it? Where like they discharged you without even removing your IV first.
Yeah, it was nuts. That shows you what American healthcare is like. It's awful. Yeah, they discharged me about, I think, 5 days after I got there, maybe 4. Yeah, not very long. And they were like, "Are you ready to go home? We need you to sign this release form." And I'm like, "No, I'm not ready."
Just been in a
barely
car
walk.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, oh, you got a bullet wound in your shoulder. Are you ready to go home? Like,
Yeah, it was crazy.
oh man. And you started a new project during the pandemic, Near Dark, which is going in sort of like the classics, punk rock, hardcore punk sort of direction, hasn't it? I really love that.
Yeah. That's been a lot of fun. We began that, I guess, my old friend, we call him Beeve, his name's Eric. He's from the greater Bay Area, and I used to go see his band play shows when I was like in middle school, like 12, 13 years old. And he hit me up out of the blue. He lives in Albany, New York now. He's like, "Yo, I'm doing this band, and it sounds like kind of like Kid Dynamite type stuff. If you're into it, we'll send you some demos. We think you'd be a cool fit for vocalists." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll check it out." And I like the songs, and it just sort of worked out. So yeah, we just recorded our we did a demo EP, and then we just recorded a 5 or 6 song EP. It's bad that I don't even know. 5 or 6. I think it was 5 song EP a few months ago. So and you know, we just played our first couple of shows as well. I believe that was in December or January. So yeah, we've, you know.
Oh, sorry, I
lost your audio.
Myself, but there I am. Now I'm back. Yeah, I was just saying, it's crazy that to be starting a new band, to be playing your first shows, something that perhaps before you did, you know, way back in 2004, and now 2022, 18 years later, to be like, now we're playing first shows with a new band, and all the kids in the audience are varying ages. It must be so different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm looking it up now. I guess those were early December. was when we played our first shows.
So yeah, let's get on to a bit about Set Your Goals, because like you said, originally from the greater Bay Area, which is where the band originated. You're now living in New York though, aren't you?
No, I actually moved back to the Bay Area 2 years ago now.
Oh right. Oh okay, that would explain a lot, because your Instagram photos have sort of been like Bay, then New York, and then Bay.
For sure. I also travel back and forth a lot. So.
And that's awesome. And yeah, so as I was mentioning, you guys had 3 killer albums, and then there was a bit of a break, and then you returned to touring, came and did a few festivals, did some tours with some big, very well-known bands. What was it like? Because obviously pop punk has existed for like 25 years, and punk rock's existed even longer than that, but it's only been the real sort of 10 to 15 years where hardcore punk, punk rock, pop punk have been merging together to form that sort of unique sound, which Set Your Goals, I'm going to say it, like you guys were the pioneers of that sound, of what people call Easycore now. I like to just call it heavy pop punk. I think it sounds cool. I like heavy pop punk. And what was it that kind of brought that together, and what inspired you guys as artists to be kind of being like, all right, let's take a page out of the hardcore punk book and let's take some melodic punk, let's take some heavier stuff and let's put it together with these super, super pop punk voices, because you and Jordan have like the definition of pop punk voice. You know, you've got the notes that you can hear and your specific sound, and then Jordan literally sounds like Tom DeLonge. Like every time I play Set Your Goals, they're like, wait, is that Tom? Like it literally is like pop punk incarnate. What inspirations were you taking from? What were you drawing from to create that? Because you were a hardcore-ish punk band when the band started, and Jordan was playing the guitar. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I can't take full credit for the pioneering of the sound. I mean, we took a lot of influence from bands that came before us, like Lifetime, like, you know, Kid Dynamite, Reach the Sky, Newfound Glory,
Yep.
Saves the Day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Newfound Glory was doing the pop punk with breakdowns thing, or whatever you want to call it, before us. But
A little bit.
those were, you know, all those bands I listed, those were bands that I was listening to growing up. And hardcore is honestly just like part of the equation, because it's like the scene that we were all a part of. Like that's how we all met and came together. You know, most of our band in the beginning stages was playing in another band, a hardcore band called Time for Living.
All right.
So
Okay.
they were just a local Bay Area hardcore band, and so it was really easy to form a lineup in the beginning, because Jordan and I were writing everything together, and then he's like, well, I'm playing in this other band with these guys. I'll see if they want to do it. So that's how we got Mike. That's how we got Dan. That's how we got our first guitarist, Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And sort of snowballed from there, you know?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, like hardcore punk is like such a big thing and has been for a long time. And you guys were obviously part of that scene. And it's very, on the first self-titled EP that you guys released, it is a little bit heavier than the Mutiny album. Which again, like, it's so innovative. The fact that there are literally 58-minute songs and the songs work as an intro to the next song, such as Don't Let This Win Over You leads perfectly. It works as an intro to Echoes. I would say though, even though sure, there are plenty of bands around before you, even fairly mainstream bands such as Newfound Glory and Sum 41 as well. Sum 41 were putting the Metallica riffs in punk rock music. But I would say it was when you guys came on, you had Echoes, Mutiny, To Be Continued, those songs sort of getting circulation. I think every single one of my friends had at least one of your songs as their profile song at one point, and I'm still in touch with all of those people, right? They had your songs as their Myspace profile songs, so they're going to be stoked when they find out I'm talking to you. What do you think it was that suddenly made that genre become a thing? Because like you said, like you were, even though you're a bit humble, a little bit humble, I still think that the band's doing it before you, just weren't doing it to the extent that Set Your Goals was. What do you think it was that appealed to so many people? Because for me, I think it's that some people don't want to listen to a straight up pop punk band, and they're not really into heavy music like metalcore. So when they go to something like Warped Tour, and you've got something like that, like you guys, and A Day to Remember, of course, like the audience are reacting to it so amazingly. Do you think that having an original sound at the time and utilizing Myspace, where you could appeal to the heavy loving scene kids and the pop punk kids and even the ska punk kids liked you as well, like, do you think that that was incremental in your success in the band blowing up?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of it, and I see this in a lot of other bands that kind of stand out, is that it's not necessarily new, but it's new to the audience. You know what I mean? So like, you know, for us, for example, we started with a heavier sound because we were drawing from all that we knew, which was hardcore. But as time went on, we got better at songwriting, and that contributed to us expanding to a wider audience, because our new sound was more accessible. It was a little like more pop influenced, and you know, pop appeals to most people. Hardcore and heavier music, like you said, don't necessarily, even though that's what we grew up on. Like I grew up listening to a lot of hardcore and metal, and so did most of the band. But Jordan really does, you know, have a gift for writing pop music, and he loves pop music. And, you know, like Blink, when it, you know, you mentioned Tom DeLonge and how his vocals sound like him. Blink is like a huge influence on Jordan. Like they're one of his favorite bands. So, and for me, they were always just like, oh yeah, it's like that pop punk band, and they're cool, but it's not like what I put on first thing in the morning when I wake up. You know, like it's not all that I listen to. And while I do have, I guess, a little bit of a soft spot for pop punk, and I do appreciate a handful of bands, it's not mainly what I listen to. So it came together perfectly because Jordan had all this pop punk background and I had all this like hardcore background, and we were like, let's do a pop punk band with breakdowns. And we
Wow.
just thought we would play locally and it would be really fun, and it was for a period of time. And then other bigger bands wanted to take us on tour, and that exposed us to a much bigger audience, and then we got to
Oh,
see the
yeah.
world.
Yeah, that's true because like you can be big on MySpace, but if you're not touring and people aren't going to see you, you're not going to have fans and stuff. And you guys were touring for like 7 years straight, like absolutely. And you guys coming together, that's perfect. You guys are like literally like peas and carrots. It's like, all right, one thing there, one thing there, and it's like, ooh, let's mash that up. That's like some like prophecy kind of stuff right there. So
We have hardcore. We have the hardcore scene to thank for that. We
yeah,
all met through the hardcore scene.
it's so cool. And you guys actually still tour with heavier bands as well. I mean, obviously, it was quite a few years ago that you did Parkway Drive. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got like Newfound Glory and All Time Low. And then you've got the Warped Tour, which again, you know, you weren't really lumped in with like Forever the Sickest Kids or anything like that. You were playing with the heavier bands on the Warped Tour as well. So it makes a lot of sense. And that's really, really amazing. So it was you and Jordan were like the primary, because I was thinking, oh, what about Daniel? Like, you know, what was Daniel contributing writing? Was it like a group effort, or would it just be like you and Jordan, like, all right, songwriting session?
Well, in the beginning, it's sort of people's roles sort of shifted throughout time. But in the beginning, it was Jordan and I meeting in my garage, writing everything. And then, you know, once we got a full lineup going, like it was a democracy to a degree. I mean, everyone sort of put in their 2 cents and had their influence on the writing, but it's always been Jordan writing the bulk of the music, and then Jordan and I kind of split duties with lyrics.
That's nice. That's really nice. Yeah, it makes complete sense. So I got a question, and this is just something which is actually for my UK followers, because it's probably burning a hole in their ear a little bit. And that is, so a few years ago, we were all super psyched for you guys to have your first sort of show overseas for a while at the Slam Dunk Festival. And we were like, oh, yes, 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 yes. And you guys dropped out because someone was sick and something happened. Can you fill us in on what happened there, or is it slightly confidential?
It is actually pretty personal. I'd rather not get into it just because out of respect for everyone in the band.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, we are also not on the same page as a band right now as to playing shows. So that's why we haven't played any shows since the final Warped Tour. But yeah, I don't know. We go through these periods where not everyone's on the same page. So we can't always do the things that some of us would like to do. Like I would love to, you know, play another Slam Dunk or something. Like Slam Dunk was always a great time for us.
Yeah.
But the cards don't always line up the way we want them to. So, you know, it's like being married to 5 other people. It's a lot of give and take, and there's a lot of sacrifice to be made. So
Yeah.
it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about a business too. Like, you know, on the business side, you can't make a business work to its maximum potential unless everyone in the business makes it their top priority. And when they don't, the business is always going to have some sort of, you know, drawbacks, or, you know, it's going to suffer for it. So we didn't always get to do all the things we wanted to do because not everyone was on the same page.
Yeah, of course. But like you guys, you know, you're in your mid-30s. You've all got jobs outside of the music industry, or like, you know, separate jobs from Set Your Goals from the band. It makes sense. Like I speak to a lot of musicians, and when you're like 20 and you're just starting out, and it's like, all right, let's do Warped Tour, let's do South by So What, let's go overseas, let's go to Indonesia, let's go to Australia. It's like, all right. But once you get to your 30s, it's like, all right, do I want to spend 75% of my year in a van or a bus
Right.
with the same guys. Like, it's understandable. And you guys still did the festival with a Day to Remember as well. Was it Self-Help Festival? And yeah, you did the Warped Tour and stuff. And I was expecting that. But the other question I actually had was what about session musicians? Because I obviously, like I said, I speak to a lot of bands in their 30s. And sometimes they just get an old member, like Stray from the Past got their old drummer when their current drummer, Craig, who's actually from the same area I grew up and played in similar bands, they get a session drummer if he has visa issues for the New York or wherever they're
Yeah,
from.
we've done that. We've had fill-ins for tours, for sure. Can't always do that with a vocalist, but
Okay, all right.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. With the hey, you could just ask Tom DeLong. You just give Tom.
Yeah, that's true.
Is that your who? No, you wouldn't.
We were playing CeeLo, which is a dice game for money, on Warped Tour one time, and Tom DeLonge walked by and he goes, "Oh, what's the buy-in?" And we're like, $20, and he's like, "Oh, I only play $100 games," and walked away.
Oh my God, meeting that guy must be such a strange, surreal thing, like, because it's either like completely mind-boggling conversation or just something you never expect.
It depends on the person, I guess. It's not someone I would geek out over, but a lot of pop punk fans would probably be, their jaws would drop if they met him.
Oh yeah, of course. There was some people. I went to music college, and it's the same college that two members of You Me at Six went to. And on this channel, I actually interviewed another one of the members last week, and they were saying a similar thing because when they were getting started, toured with Angels and Airwaves. In 2007, 2008, they were doing Paramore, Angels and Airwaves, those kind of bands, the sort of emo-y pop punk bands, plus Angels and Airwaves. And half the members couldn't care less. They were more into music like Incubus and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, and then the other half were tripping out like, oh my God, we're on tour with Tom DeLonge. It totally makes sense. So, I mean, that's super rad. And all right, here's another question. So, like I said, you've toured with like such a wide variety of bands. You've done like pop punk bands. You've done like rock bands such as You Me at Six. Newfound Glory you did 3 times. Was that was it 3 times?
I want to say it was more than that. It must have been.
Yeah,
We've
wow.
toured with them so much.
And that's probably, is that due to a California relation, or is it due to a booking agent, or is that just a coincidence?
It's because of friendship, honestly. Some bands you just bond with more than others, and we really got along with those guys really well, and just sort of clicked. Certain bands like that. I mean, Fireworks is another band like that. They're just like our brother band, pretty much. A lot of bands like that we just sort of instantly clicked with. So
that's so cool.
They've really looked out for us over the years. Newfound Glory's always really taken care of us and been really cool to us.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, because my next question was literally like, what's been your fondest memory, your fondest country, and your fondest band to tour with, actually? Well, you kind of answered the third one.
My memory would probably just be like the entire year of 2008. Like that was like, I think, peak touring for us. We did just the coolest things. We got to see, just the coolest places. One of my favorite tours we ever did was with Saves the Day. Wow. They were just such an incredible band, and I love those songs so much. One of my favorite memories is from that tour. We played the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia. I still have the set list. I'm like not the type to geek out and keep a set list really, but like this show is really special. They played only the first 2 records, or maybe only the first 3. And those are like my favorite stuff of their catalog. And it was just an incredible show. But yeah, that was one of my favorite tours we ever did. And then favorite country, probably Australia. That was like, it's just such an amazing place. I love everything about it.
It's amazing. I love it there.
I mean, anytime we've gone to the UK, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
And just certain cities in the US too are just always a good time.
Oh, that's nice. That's really, really cool. Yeah, 2008 was a big year because I remember that specifically as the year where Mutiny was particularly getting a lot of circulation, and I think the actual song Mutiny, not just the album Mutiny, but the actual song Mutiny was getting such a lot of circulation, and you guys were just everywhere. Like some of my friends were wearing your t-shirts and that kind of stuff. And then that was followed up, which I would say The Few That Remain was one of the next songs, sort of like, even though Echoes was absolutely massive, I would say that Mutiny and Echoes kind of joined at the hip for like just incredible blow up songs. And I'd say the song after that was The Few That Remain that really like went like that. And that was 2009, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And did anything kind of between The Few That Remain, you know, between that and Burning at Both Ends, was there anything phenomenal during that period, which was again extremely memorable, because this is right before that sort of 2011 to 2015 absolute post-hardcore, easycore, pop punk takeover?
Sure.
Was this like a period where it was like, whoa, like, okay, like we can do this as a full-time band, we can really make it work, and it's not going to be like just a touring thing. It's going to be like, whoa, like this is big, like this is passive.
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, 2008 was also the year that I had to stop paying to be on tour. You know what I mean? And we started making enough money to pay rent at our apartments, and we didn't have to couch hop and get random jobs when we got home from tours, which was nice because we were touring like 10 months out of the year, and it was really a pain to try to scramble to figure it out in between tours when we got home. And, you know, after that, after This Will Be the Death of Us dropped, I mean, you know, we were on K-Rock in LA, which is the big alternative radio station there, on the top 5 rotation for a while. And we did some humongous festivals. We did Reading and Leeds. We did Give It a Name, you know, like tens of thousands of people. And it was just surreal. We were on tour like all year for for a few solid years there. 10 months out of the year, I'd say.
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah. Yeah, This Will Be the Death of Us. I remember there was actually some bands in my town then who they started naming their bands after your guys' songs. I don't know if you're actually allowed to do that, but
What was your town?
So I grew up in near Weybridge, the same town which is where You Me at Six are from. So it's like a suburb of southwest London, basically.
I love those guys.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, that's nice. So we grew up in the same area, and so southwest London and that kind of area. And so yeah, not far from where Slam Dunk South Festival is, and you know, 40 minutes door to door to get to somewhere like Brixton Academy or something like that, you know, like a really fantastic venue. We're pretty spoiled for venues in the country. So I want to say, yeah, because the one band I mentioned, yeah, The Few That Remain, how did the Hayley Williams collab come around as well? Was that through the Chad Gilbert link, I want to say?
Yeah.
He was the producer.
So, well, he produced a couple songs for us later on after Burning at Both Ends, but he actually lived across the street from the studio where we recorded in LA. Wow. And so he would just be hanging out in the studio, and then we're like, he was dating Hayley at the time, and they were both there, and I'm like, oh, you know, we were like, you guys should do some parts on the record, and then they were like, yeah, sure. So it all happened pretty organically.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, again, that was just really, really massive, because I think that one, due to her, also I remember it introduced you to a slightly younger audience than people who were already listening to you as well, which was really cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, that about does it for me. The only questions I have remaining are, because we've already gone over, you know, what's been going on the last few years. Obviously, we've had COVID, and it's like when you've got 6 guys and like 2 of them don't want to tour or whatever, then it's like, oh, should we do this then? Is it worth it? You know, what are the plans for the near future, and where can we see Near Dark as well? Will we expect some new music, maybe a single, maybe a home recorded thing where you just send stuff around and you each record it on Logic in your houses, anything of that nature?
Yeah, Near Dark has finished our new EP, and it's on its way to the pressing plant, but the pressing plants are all backed up, like way backed up. So I think it'll be a few months before that comes out.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm really proud of the songs. Like we really stepped it up from the demo, and I think people are gonna like them. We did put 2 of them up on Spotify. So if you look on there, it's the Poisoned at the Root EP. And yeah, we hope to book some more shows. I know we're supposed to do some stuff on the East Coast, and one of the shows fell through already. But I guess check the Instagram. It's Near Dark NY for updates on that, and we hope to come out and do some stuff on the West Coast as well.
How do you rehearse with them if they're Near Dark in New York and he's from Albany? Do you?
Yeah, so they're all in Albany, so I just fly out like a day or 2 early, and we have rehearsal, and then we play the shows.
Oh, sick! That's great.
Yeah.
So awesome. And yeah, on the set your goals front. So you guys, as I said, like you've all grown up, so you got separate jobs. What are you all doing outside of the band then? You were doing investing. I know a bit of investing and stuff. And Jordan, Joe, Mike, Daniel. What's everyone up to? And yeah, what can we expect? Is that can we get together and do slam dunk? Can we do a major city like London, Prague, Paris?
I get that question so often. I am only one man. Yeah, I'm only one human. I don't have control over everyone in my band, and I wish I did sometimes, so we could do more than we do. But yeah, I mean, everyone's got new endeavors and jobs and stuff. I know Mike is playing drums in The Story So Far, and he has a table business. Jordan, last I heard, was working for EDD, which is like unemployment services in California. Dan, I believe, teaches guitar in Atlanta. Junior prints merch. And Joe is the guitar tech for Thursday currently. He still tours quite a bit.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, Thursday I absolutely love, and that's another 2006 sort of Myspace band who absolutely love. They again, they're quite a periodic touring band as well, which is a shame. But yeah, what I really love and respect about Say Your Goals is that it's never been like we're gonna kick you out, like, or anything like that. It's and it's also like so many bands these days. You go on their Wikipedia or their band profile or their band website, and it's like current members 4 guys, and then past members like 13 guys. It's like every 2 years new drummer, every 2 years new bass player and stuff. Like you guys really just do operate as a business, and I think there's a lot of mutual respect there, because if one guy doesn't want to tour, or if you're all exhausted of touring but one guy wants to do it, other bands will be like, right, kicking you all out, hiring new guys and stuff. I really do respect that. But yeah, I'm gonna just keep my fingers crossed. I'm just gonna keep like commenting on your guys' Instagrams, like, come on, like just London, or like just Paris. Like, come on, we'll fly to Paris. You can do a tour with Chunk No Captain Chunk or something, or like, like.
Well, that business model, does keep the wheels in motion, so it works. I mean, there's usually like one creative force in the band, and then they've got a revolving door of other members, and usually the creative person is also like the difficult person, so they'll end up kicking people out, or people will quit. And I know a lot of bands like that. I'm not going to name any names, but there are a lot of bands like that, and like I said, it keeps you on the road and it keeps you producing, but we're more of like a democratic model, I guess. The other members of my band are like my 5 brothers, you know what I mean? Like we try to just keep it tight knit, and we want it to be the same lineup, so we've held strong with this lineup for good amount of time.
Oh god.
And
yeah.
As far as being active these days, I mean, I know Jordan and Mike were writing at the beginning of the pandemic, but then everything got locked down and all that stuff got really crazy. And then they got caught up in other projects, like Jordan got a job, and Mike started the table business, and then he started drumming in Story. So it sort of just fell off, and I don't think it's been picked back up, but I know that we do have like a good amount of songs, at least the music for them written. I just don't know if they'll ever see the light of day, but I hope so. That'd be great to play shows again and put out new music. But we're leaving the door open, but I'm not gonna make any promises, because we're all pretty old now, and everyone's married and having kids and stuff. So
I love that though. Yeah, like I really love that, you know, like you said, like you and Jordan, you're like the sort of driving force slash the creative force of the band. But I think you guys were actually the ones who were like, actually, yeah, you know, like this is cool. Like what we're doing is cool. This is working, you know, like this is working well. And yeah, some guys don't want to be away from their families. In fact, bands break up literally because they have families and stuff. And it's like, all right,
sure.
let's take it easy. Well, I'm super psyched. And like you said that you wanted to keep it the original lineup. And there are some bands who I went to see in I want to say 2009. I went to see them again in 2013, and they had like 3 new members, and it was like watching a cover band, because it's like the guys that were there before and that were writing, that were performing, you got new
Not the
guys.
same, right?
Yeah, it looks like watching a cover band. It's a bit like, wait, that guitar player's new. They don't have a synth player anymore. They're using an iPod instead of this, and like, yeah, it's just like, all right, cool, yeah, no, that's great. Well, I really appreciate this. Thank you so much for that chat. It was really great talking about what we grew up loving and listening to, and yeah, well, you've mentioned, you know, what you're up to with Near Dark and the band. Anything else you want to say, or anything else you want to plug that you're up to, or anything that you want to put out there?
I was just going to comment on your last little spiel there. I would say that the reason we decided on the keeping the lineup rigid is that, you know, from 2012 to 2014, we took some time off because Jordan snapped his Achilles tendon.
Mm-hmm.
And it really gave us some perspective on how to do things moving forward, and how we want to do things and how we feel about it. And we just decided it wasn't worth it to us to cheapen, I guess, the brand of the band and what we feel the spirit of the band is. So we said, hey, if we're going to come back and do this, let's do it right. Let's do it, all of us. And if some of us can't do it, you know, we'll just call it a day. Or, you know, if someone quits or doesn't want to do it anymore, we'll call it a day. And we'll only do things that make sense. You know, we're only going to put out stuff we're really proud of. We're only going to play shows that we really believe in and want to play, you know, instead of just doing it to pass time or to stay on the road to make money to pay our bills. You know,
We
it's
do
like,
it for the money. We do it for the money.
right. We would never want to go that route. So, you know, I've seen a lot of bands do that, and, you know, I'm not knocking them, you know, they're paying their bills, but you can tell when their hearts aren't in it. And there's a lot of, especially these days, you know, this stuff's been around a few decades. There's a lot of these reunion tours, and you can tell which ones are stoked to do it genuinely and which ones are just, their heart's not in it. So we always wanted it to be the latter.
Fun. Yeah, and it, you know, it wouldn't be the same without Jordan. Let's say you had to keep touring in 2015, you know, it wouldn't be the same. And the exact same thing if it happened to you, if you broke your back in a car accident, you know, back in those
They're
days.
like, later.
It wouldn't be the same. I don't even, I'm not convinced a lot of us would come and see it if it wasn't you and Jordan and everyone else. Like, if it was a fill-in vocalist, or, I mean, I guess one of you could try and sing the other guy's vocals, but it would be like,
yeah, you know, we've done shows like that in a pinch, you know, and it's not the same. Like, we know that it just wouldn't feel right. So yeah, we would need both singers to make it work.
Yeah, it's like apples and oranges. It's like when a clean vocalist tries to scream, it doesn't work out. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. It's been an absolute pleasure, such a treat. You've been the guest that I've been like fanboying out over the most and the most excited for. I was like telling my wife this morning, I was like, yes, that's it. Like,
well, thanks, man.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate that. And yeah, to everyone watching, of course, please subscribe. It's the most helpful thing you can do for the podcast and for the channel. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much. Take care now.
Thanks, man.